Lake Region is the second home to approximately 2,000 students and a staff of 180. Opened in August of 1995, Lake Region has striven for academic and athletic excellence. Though all 2,000 students walk these halls nearly every day, many are unaware of what goes on behind the door of room 4106.
We stood still. A low moaning sound could be heard in the tops of the tall sycamores. Grandpa said, I was afraid of that. We're going to get some wind. We heard a rattling in the leaves and underbrush. It was beginning to sleep. The air turned cold and chilly.
Lake Region High School's program is specifically for students with autism. And it is a self-contained classroom because it is students who have a lot of communication needs, a lot of behavioral needs. A lot of times they don't function real well out in the regular classrooms. Although we do try to push them out for inclusion when we can and if they can handle it.
I mean, we have 7 boys, so they have little things that you have to know that they want, because anything could upset them or just little things. Each boy has certain things that they love, and they know everything about that one subject. Like Ryan, he loves Thomas the Tank. He can tell you anything you want to know about Thomas the Tank Engine. The wealth of information that they have, that they know, is amazing. Now they're obviously slower in other areas, but he can tell you anything you need to know about steam engine trains, and Jared knows anything about dinosaurs, you know. So it's just, you have to learn what each one of them likes. You use that to keep them happy, to, you know, use that in the teaching so that they are more interested.
A lot of times parents aren't aware that possibly the child is autistic. Sometimes there's like little red flags for us as therapists, like if kids line things up, they could excel at visual motor skills, but frequently they have fantastic puzzle skills, you know, above their age. Like a typical 2-year-old shouldn't be able to be doing a 10-piece puzzle or whatever, and you see these kids doing it. They have an over interest in the alphabet and numbers. It was once described to me that gives them a sense of order because it's consistently the same. They will spin a lot of toys and everything like that. They will sometimes do flapping. They'll do hand flapping. These are all like stimming behaviors, they call them.
Okay, go grab your stuff so we can do it.
Yep. Get your lunchbox and your 2 books.
This is Corey. Corey's getting ready to be in a movie called Corey's New Groove with the help of video modeling.
One of the newest techniques or strategies that has happened is video modeling. And that is really good because it actually shows the student a visual representation of what the appropriate social skill is.
Love was only true in fairy tales, meant for someone else, but not for me.
I don't know. Good
morning, anybody.
Good morning, Corey. All right, can you say good morning?
Jasmine.
This movie shows Corey performing the right tasks when entering the classroom. The video also contains a section of his classwork,
Seem to be laughing at
Oh,
us.
he's sitting in a
All
chair.
around.
and his routine at the end of the day.
If I tried. Then I saw her back.
So we met the day before my birthday, and actually everything worked out so that we got married 1 year later.
1 year later.
He was born September 23rd, 1992. It was about 2 weeks late, and so they had to induce. Oh gosh,
was
so
joy,
many
I mean,
emotions.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
you're
was
just like
happiness.
Yeah, totally excited to be a parent. I'm the oldest of 7, and I knew I was going to be a parent. I mean, just very happy. He was always smiling, running around. My first sign that I was kind of told to not worry about was about when he was 2 months old, right after his first set of shots, his vaccines.
It was neck up.
Yeah, his neck was he just couldn't hold his head up anymore. And but when I spoke to the doctor, he assured me, it's nothing. It's probably just a kink in the neck. Well, that's when I said I got to start doing research. So I was doing as much research as I could on the computer, asking questions.
This was at the beginning too, when
They didn't like to even use that diagnosis. It was
autism
like-
was almost a forbidden
Yeah.
diagnosis.
Whenever I'd ask her, oh no, everybody would just poo-poo that, and it was almost like how cancer, the C word, it was like the A word,
Yeah.
Oh, you don't say that. Finally, he had the psychological evaluation or whatever through the school system, and they're like, well, he has autism, and I'm like, really? Being a little sarcastic because, yeah, I know this, and I finally have my, official diagnosis from you guys or whatever.
Good day is just getting through without a meltdown from somebody. We could try to play around and joke around, because if you don't, you'll go crazy. They're funny in their own way. If you just sit there and listen to them, they're hilarious. So we just, we kind of play off them, and so a good day is just, getting the lessons done without having a ton of interruptions or having somebody have a huge meltdown.
Many autistic people suffer from sensory integration dysfunction. It causes difficulties with processing information from the 5 senses. As you can see here, people who suffer from SID often display symptoms of stemming, a condition that involves repetitive actions or movements in an attempt to soothe or cover other sounds that may be bothering them.
It's like being bombarded with your senses. There are 2 types. There's hyposensitive and hypersensitive. Hypersensitive is like your senses are bombarded. So certain textures will feel funny on you, or certain smells will upset you, or certain lighting, certain sounds, things of that sort, they get on your nerves or can cause a meltdown.
Just somebody brushing by them could set them off. A lot of times you may think that they're aggressive, but when you look at maybe researching it in a classroom or something, well, why did he attack him or something? Well, it's just like maybe somebody brushed by them.
Then you have hyposensitive, which means that you crave that sense. Maybe you need to listen to music when you're working because you have to have noise, or you have to feel certain textures, or you need deep pressure on your joints because you need that input. So there's 2 different types of sensory integration.
You may feel something different than I may. I may have to apply more pressure to feel something. And frequently in an autistic child, they are lacking in that. The first thing in treatment that's important when you're doing sensory is that you have to really address the sensory sensitivity first. In other words, if they're extremely tactile defensive, we have to address that first. Otherwise, we're not going to get anything done unless we get in there and reduce the sensitivity of that. Exaggeration of it, it's like blown way out of proportion. So we've just got to try to rein in and make it typical.
It's come a long, long way. He really has done very, very well. Especially compared to some of the diagnoses that they had at the beginning. He is what he is, and it's maybe the way the rest of his life. And now he's talking, and when he can communicate, you can understand what he's saying. There was a time when you couldn't understand a word of what he said. He was in he had his own language.
Initially, it's hard because you see all the difficulties, but then when you begin to see the progress, you feel really, really good. You know, I have a child now that I'm currently treating, and within 2 weeks that we've put him on certain sensory diet things, we're beginning to see changes. And the more important that they're seeing changes at home, not just here in the clinic when it comes. So that makes you feel good, and that's what makes you come to work every day.
These kids want to have friends, and even though they are different and they act different and they may have behaviors, they may have certain things that seem strange to other kids or weird, try to befriend them. Try to understand that they are different. But I was in the grocery store the other day and I saw a child who had a meltdown, and I knew, because I deal with these kids every day, I knew automatically that this was a child on the spectrum. And the way that the people in the grocery store reacted to this child and to the parent, you know, can't you control your child, you know, saying nasty things to the parent. And the parent just said, my child's autistic. You know, it just really gets to me because I really felt for this parent. But we need to understand these things. You know, we need to know that we can't judge someone at that particular moment that we're watching them. You know, we don't know what their life is like.
Once you're around it all day, and then like you go out to a restaurant or something and you see this kid that's behaving horribly, you're kind of more, before you judge, you kind of think, oh, maybe there's something wrong with them, so you're more understanding. You don't get angry or...
I remember I was, the days I used to go to the gym and work out, I brought Corey with me. I remember one time coming back to go pick him up, and there was a 9-year-old there. He said to me, how come he don't talk right? And I had to bite my tongue from the way I was just asked that question. I was like, well, he really would like to talk like you, but his brain doesn't work like yours. It doesn't process what he hears from you, and he's not able to then speak what he wants to say to you. But he really would like to. And one day, hopefully, his brain will be able to process like yours, and he'll be able to speak like you. But in the meantime, he understands what you're saying to him, so you can talk with him, and he'll try to talk back, but you may not understand what he's saying. And the kid was like, oh. Well, then I went to the gym another time, and that same child was there again. And I went to get Corey, and that he was so excited, this 9-year-old was, oh, I did this with Corey, and we went over here, and we played with this, and I told these other kids, too, that he understands everything. And it was so cool to see that, wow, he was just trying to show, too, that he now was educated, and I didn't have, you know, this child that didn't know anything kind of thing. But there's times too, and I'm human, that I've been out in Walmart or a store and I get the whole people behind me because Corey's acting out or whatever, and he looks normal, so he must just be a brat, you know. Or he was tantruming on the ground, you know, and they're like, God,
Meltdowns.
can't they even just, you know, handle their child? And I would say something like, well, this is life with autism. And I feel grateful that I'm blessed with the faith to know that, okay, I'm going to turn this around to a good thing. We've learned so much from him. He has taught us to see the joy in the simplest of things, the successes in the smallest of accomplishments. He just learned how to tie his shoes last year. Do you know, I was jumping up and down, and who do I call? I can only call John. I mean, my mom, you know. Corey, no, he tied his shoes by himself. I don't care, he's 15. He tied his shoes.
Exactly.
So stuff like that. He's made us sit back and realize, you know, what's really important, the simple things and the simple progresses that you make and that are big things. So
This film started as a small project in a world that I was unfamiliar with.
Hi, Vicky.
It ended in a moving experience that will forever impact my life.